and gentlemen, I'm Jack Arnicky, and we welcome you to Theater Talk. This after the performance of Motown here at Proctor's Theater in downtown Schenectady. We have two members of the cast with us. I'd like to ask them to introduce themselves, tell a little about themselves, and then we're going to go on and get all the questions we can from the audience for the next, 25 minutes or so before they have to go get a bite to eat and get ready for tonight. So why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hello, my name is Nick Alexander, and I play a couple of things. I play Dennis Edward, who was the lead singer of The Temptations later on. And I am one of the Miracles, background singers for Smokey Robinson. And what else do I do? Oh, I lead Ball of Confusion at the beginning of Act 2. The person screaming all the high notes. And that's about it. And I play Mickey Stevenson, the really funny guy that thinks he can sing with the hat. I do. Where am I from? I was born in Brooklyn, New York. Born and raised in New York City. And yeah, that's who I am.
Okay, good.
Hello, everybody. My name is Elijah Ahmad Lewis. Today you saw me. I play Levi Stubbs, the lead singer at the top of the show, going back and forth with this nut. Also in The Miracles, Bobby in The Miracles. I also play Gladys Knight's brother in The Pips. And I was also Stevie Wonder.
Oh!
I also am from New York, Harlem, New York. That's where I'm from.
All right, great. And we have a group of young people here, all from Elizabethtown, which is up in the Adirondacks. And they're here, they enjoyed the performance, and you're keeping them out of school even longer by being here. All right, we're open for questions. Any questions any of you may have? Yes?
How is it important to the whole Motown play, and why was it very important to the characters?
How important was the Motown movement itself, and how important is it for you guys to be in the show? Okay.
Motown is very important. Most of us know it's like the soundtrack to our lives. And you can hear a song and think about where you were, who you were with, what you were wearing, the smell that was around you. It was very influential in changing America music-wise and politically, which changed the face of a lot of things, how people thought, how the record industry worked. And I think being a part of it, I'm privileged to tell this part of history and be a part of another round of history.
Personally, Motown and the music is very influential to me in how I sing today. I do believe different cultures, we all have different sounds and music that we create, and Motown, like a lot of other things, music back in the day, not too far, but like 60s and 50s, needed to cross over to the pop charts. And so, the way we sang maybe at our church or whatever was not going to sell to a broad audience. And so they had to clean up some sounds and change things. And naturally, a lot of singers are now affected by how we had to change the sound to get it to the masses. And so I, as a singer, feel like I'm in the mix of the middle of the world of trying to make sure that everyone understands it, but still having my feeling and my culture. So it's very important to me.
All right, great. Questions? Fire away, yes.
What inspired you to do plays like this, and more specifically Motown itself?
What inspired you to do shows like this, and most specifically this one?
Well, I was in middle school, and my family moved to Long Island. And where we were, the school had a budget for theater. And so I always grew up singing in church. And when I got to school, I wanted to sing in the choir. And one of the music teachers was like, you should audition for the musical. And we were doing Bye Bye Birdie. And so I auditioned, and I ended up, and that was my first musical at like 11. And I just had fun, like being somebody else and playing with the other people that was in the show. It's like a program, something to do after school that was fun, and I loved music. And so as I got older, I kept doing it, and then somebody told me in high school that somebody would pay me to do it. And so I was like, what? So then I had to take it serious. I was like, they're gonna pay me. So, I started doing it, a little more professionally, and then I went to school for it, and then, went out to audition in New York. And why I wanted to be in Motown, I love music and I love singing. Like, I sing with this fool at the beginning of the show. And when I say we have so much fun every day, if we have a voice, if we don't have a voice, if we're like, ooh, I'm nervous, we have so much fun. There's so much to do in music. There's so many keys on the piano. We just go. Like, we're just gonna go and have a great time. So yeah, that's my answer.
Pretty much the same what he said. I grew up in a family of theater. My parents are Broadway producers, writers, authors, and speakers. And my mother and father wrote a hit show that was called Mama, I Wanna Sing, that traveled around for 8 consecutive years and in Europe and Japan. And growing up through that, is kind of just embedded in you. Music, going to rehearsals, and I love to do that. As a kid, I liked to play dress up. So I would play fireman and policeman and act like I was a king of the house, and so my mother was like, just go audition for this. Just go. And the same thing like him. I love singing. I love dancing. I love telling stories. So anytime that I can tell a story, not from a book, but from me and everyone who's around me, telling you a story and bringing you into our world, it's really fun. And the fact that we get paid for it, I mean, hey.
Yeah.
And the same thing, why I chose Motown, the same reason I said before, this is a historic moment in history that happened way back when, and even to the present, and how it's still changing. And just to be a part of this changing culture and changing music is a blessing.
Great. Yes. How do you like the theater here, Proctor's in Schenectady, and the facilities?
Wonderful. It's a big old place.
Yeah, it is.
Being on this tour, you travel to a lot of different theaters and atmospheres and stuff, and this is a great place. It's a great house. Wonderful.
I was here 2 years ago in Priscilla, and I was so excited to come back to the Proctors. And a lot of different houses are extremely big. And I'm a small person, and sometimes I feel really overwhelmed. Like our first show there in that city, I'm like, there's so many people, and the space is so big, and I'm just a small person. And Proctor's is not overwhelming for me. And I don't know if that's the people and the energy or just the space. So I was very excited to be like, yes, I can control this room. So I was very, and it was familiar to me because I've been here before. So I feel like I have a relationship with the space, and
Well,
Thank
good.
you.
Welcome back, and we're delighted that you feel that way about us, both of you. All right, questions?
Not all at once.
Yes.
I've always been curious with a production like this, what is the audition process?
What is the audition process with a production like this?
Audition processes are specific to in certain individual. Everybody has a different story. I actually just joined this show last week. Last week was my first show. So this is my second week with the show. I auditioned, I had never auditioned for Motown. Motown's been around for over 2 years now. Over 5 years, but they were on Broadway for you, but the tour was around for 2 years. So I had never auditioned for Motown. I always wanted to, but I was in Priscilla, and I was always busy doing the show, and so one of my friends who was playing the role that I'm playing left to do another show, and he called me personally, was like, I'm leaving the show, you should audition to replace me. And so this is a thing of like people who you know. So I called my agent, and I knew the choreographer, and I called him and I was like, I want to audition for Motown, I gotta be there. And so they got me the audition, and I went in this one day, it was a Friday, and I sang in the morning. I sang like 4 songs, and I did 3 scenes, and then they had me come back, and they put it on tape, and they sent it to Barry Gordy, and he watched it, and our actual director wasn't in the room at my audition, so they sent it to him, and then that night at like 7 p.m., they called me and told me that I got it. Which is very different, because he started, well, you'll tell your story, but which it doesn't always happen that fast. So it just happened that fast, and then I was here like Tuesday. So it was very fast.
Good.
And I mean, it happens that fast when you have someone as spectacular as he is. My story is different. Like you said, everyone's story is different. I auditioned for the show 5 years ago when it was coming to Broadway. And everybody, and there's uncles, aunties, nephews, cousin auditioned for the show. And it was a very, very, very long process. And, you know, I came in and I had like 2 or 3 callbacks that week. Then there was a waiting process and didn't get the Broadway show. But I went to Japan to do another show. When I came back, literally that night, that morning, they called me and said, hey, we want to look at you for the tour. It's like, great, okay. I come in. Funny thing, they had sent me Smokey Robinson sides. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do that, but okay, let's try it. Then I went in. Barry Gordy was there, our director, Charles Randolph-Wright, and some of the casting people. And there was a dance call that we did with our choreographers. Then you had to wait a little bit. Then there was a scene call, and then there was a singing call. And you know, sometimes it's a long process. It's a long day. You can be there 2, 3, 4 hours, and then they ask you to come back another 2, 3, 4 hours. You know, or sometimes you can be there and they'll say thank you, and you wait 2, 3, 4 weeks, and they'll say come back. Or sometimes you don't hear anything at all, and sometimes you get a call the night you do it. So yeah, it's everyone's process is different. Some people they had open calls in LA and Detroit. And I think there were 2 people who didn't audition in New York and were here from Chicago. But some people sent in tapes. One of our other Michael Jacksons who started the tour with us, he sent in a tape, and then they flew him to New York to finish the audition process. So it's a strenuous process, but it's great in the end.
How was Barry Gordy during this process? How did you find him?
Barry Gordy is very, very hands-on. From the Broadway show till now. He still gives us notes every other week. That part where he says notes, 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 always notes, that is very true. That BG, the Barry Gordy speech at the end at Motown 25 changes almost every day. Literally. And the show changes. While we were in Toronto, we retech the entire show. 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
We were in Toronto and retech the whole show, and you know, just putting different things in. He's very, very, very influential. When we started the process, we all had one-on-ones with him. And he would tell us different stories about our characters and, you know, what the interactions with the different people were like. And, you know, we had group sit-downs where he would just share inside things that we would never imagine, you know, that happened and how things went up. And the fact that he is Motown and he's still here to feed us that is wonderful.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Questions? Let me get somebody else, okay. Questions? Yes.
I'm amazed at how well everyone sang, but also how true to life they sounded as really played that person or singer. So I just wondered how long did it take you to have to, I'm sure you watch a lot of like old songs or listen to your old songs.
Well, the question basically is how much the actors sounded like the original stars, how much Diana sounded like Diana and Marvin Gaye sounded like Marvin Gaye, et cetera, et cetera. And how did you get into that character and get that close to actually sounding like the person, like Stevie?
Along with, I'll speak for myself, and I can probably speak for others too. Along with Barry Gordy's notes and insightful words of wisdom, you know, first off, when you audition, you know, they say Broadway is one of the toughest parts of the entertainment industry to get into. You know, it's a grueling schedule, 8 shows a week, rehearsals throughout the day. He can tell you. You know, and when you take that, luckily, fortunately, we're in the age of YouTube, where there are a lot of things online and things that we can search for and try to find. One thing Barry Gordy says is the truth is a hit. And if you're true to your truth and yourself as an artist and an entertainer, and the research that you found and everything that he's given to you, and you dissect that and you give your truth to the audience, they will feel your truth. So, for instance, and this is very, very little, Diana is a darker skin color. Our Diana that went in today, Cindy Winters, she's a lighter skin color. But the fact that she embodies her and she tells her truth of what Diana is, you don't really see that. Or you
Amen.
believe it, right?
Yes. The audience, yeah, the audience swaying, the holding hands and swaying, which made me think of a German beer hall. But the audience swaying, was that all part of the original production?
Not that I know of. I saw the show on Broadway, and that was put in on Broadway. I haven't seen Diana's live performance in Vegas, but I'm probably guessing that's a live show. So that, like, if you look it up, I think that's what happened at the show. So I think that's always been said.
That's one of Diana's signatures for that song. If you watch anything that she does in that song, she always does that, the hand sway, which is a legendary trademark of hers for the show.
And picking the one person out of the audience in the second act to sing, and she really sang very well. Is that a regular part of the show, and do you keep your fingers crossed and hope for the best, or what?
Yes.
There isn't any pre-picking on that?
No, that is on the spot every night. No. That part of the show is never planned. Right, whoever wants to. It is written in the show that Diana does come into the audience. Now whoever comes up. We've had some times where that scene went on for 5 minutes. And like half of the audience ran up and we were like, yo, we only need one or two. We only need one or two. Sometimes you have some great, singers. Sometimes you have some people who just want to express how they feel through song.
That's a good way to put it. But I hope somebody took our person's name. I thought she did a marvelous job. Questions? Yes. Is it nerve-wracking being on stage in front of all those people, like right here?
For me, no. I used to be when I was younger. I'm still very young, but I used to get nervous, and like he said, like, this is why you do have to do the work before the show starts, like with rehearsal and preparing yourself. But I always tell myself to trust my whole life's work. So like, I have been singing my whole life. You know what I mean? So this is live theater, so things definitely go wrong. Like, this is, just like life, things go wrong. And you have to be okay with that. You have to let that go and leave that in the scene. When the scene is over, the scene is over. Or you're just gonna be miserable about it for the next hour, the next day. But I just trust myself. I know I've sang long enough. I went to school, I paid money. I auditioned, somebody chose me. I have a responsibility, and I can do it. I can do this. No matter whatever, I can do it. You know what I mean?
Great attitude.
So I don't get nervous. Am I cautious? Yes. I get cautious. I'm very aware, so I don't get surprised.
Everyone's different, yet again. As much as I've been performing, I've started in this industry since I was 7. And as much as I've been performing and training and stuff, I still get nervous before every show. I do. I always say that if I don't get nervous, I feel like nothing can go wrong. If I'm nervous, then that means I want everything to go right. I don't use the nervousness as being scared. I use the nervousness as I want everything to be great for this audience who paid all this money to see the show.
Okay.
So as far as getting scared, no. Like you said, it's live theater, things happen. You be cautious, you watch your surroundings. But right before that M opens every night, I always do get nervous because I want to do a good job for you.
Great. Last question. We have just one time for one more, and I'll take it right here in the front. Of this show? What are your favorite parts of this show?
My favorite part, I'm going to let you answer first, so I'm going to think about it.
I'm gonna say 3 main points that I love in this show. The opening number with this one. When I tell you, if you only knew what you hear, it's different every night. Like vocally, it's different every night. And just feeding off of each other, because that's what the Temptations and the Four Tops did. That was their signature thing at their Motown shows, is they would go back and forth. And it's fun. That is one. I love Dancing in the Street. Dancing in the Street gives you that great Broadway number, you know, where half of the cast is all on stage, and there's quick changes when the Vandellas go from their working clothes to the sparkly gold dresses, and there's lights and there's moving things, and it's just a very fun, energetic number. And of course, I love my Stevie Wonder numbers. There are only 2 little parts, so I cherish them very dearly.
I love the opening number so much. It is so much fun. Every day is so different. It literally like ministers to my soul, because it's always different. Like, you know, sometimes we can show up to work and we're sick and we're like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And we literally just go, and we use our power and our energy, and we go for it. We just completely go. And what happens. Like, I get strength from it, I get joy, I feel better, I feel like my help is here. It's like being shot out of a cannon, like, ah! Oh my God, did he just sing that? Oh my God, now I have to top him. You know what I mean? It's always like, oh no, you're not gonna out-sing me. You know what I mean? And sometimes he wins, but then we have a second show. And then by the second show, I'm like, I'm warmed up this time. No, you're not gonna surprise me. This time, I love the opening number. Something that I love that I'm not in. I think that I love Reach Out and Touch. I really do. I think it's such a big moment for Diana. I'm like, oh my God. I just be in awe, like, look at this smoke. Look at this dress. I just keep going. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I've never seen it. Those are my 2 favorites.
Good. And I'll tell you, one of my favorites watching it was just, I've never seen sets move and interact and work together like that. Whoever designed those sets did an absolutely marvelous job. It was. I know you don't get to see it from where you are, but boy, we get to see it in the audience. How about a round of applause for these 2 guys? Thank you so much for coming out. Oh, okay, he would like to say something to the young people, so this is a message for you guys.
Yes, before the young people leave, I want all of you to know that whatever you think that you want to do and that you can do, you can do. There is, like, you literally can do it. There's, like, the people that were on stage tonight, like, literally I was you and wanted to perform. And if this is what you want to do, you can definitely do it. One advice, finish school. Finish college, finish school. Like, that is the place for you to completely learn about who you are and who you want to be and where you're going. And you're bound to make mistakes, and it's great that you make them at school while nobody's taking note of it, nobody's judging it. You know, you get forgiven because you're in school. So I want you to know that you can do whatever you want to do.
What he said.
Yeah.
Literally everything that he said and more. The sky's the limit. You know, if it's not theater, if it's something else, you can do it. If you put your mind to it and you sit there long enough and you say, this is what I want to do, how should I get this done? How should I get this done? Who should I ask to get this done? Do it. And when I was going to make a point, hold on.
You're too young
He
for that.
He was saying, like he said, being in school, you know, make sure that you get everything out of that. You know, all your ideas, everything, that's your safe haven. You know, don't take school for granted. It's there for a reason. And one thing that I did that I'm glad I did, I don't like school. I'm just gonna be honest, I'm sorry, I don't. I didn't like school, but I graduated top in all my classes, and I was valedictorian. And that's only because you have to do it, so why not achieve it? Right?
Absolutely.
And also, anyone who was out there who tries to put you down, know that they are only doing that because they want to be where you are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Amen. Both of you made a couple of teachers broadly smile. So thank you all very, very much for joining us. And thank you for joining us on Theater Talk. I'm Jack Arnicke. Have yourself a wonderful day. Take care.